need for growth. I'm a need inside the door. And I never are. Come along now. Run away from the hum. We'll go to a place that is safe from green anchor and cold. We'll dance and sing till sundown and feast with a band. We'll sleep when the morning comes.
Hi there, friends. Welcome back to the All Things Tormented podcast. I go by the name of Jinx. I also have Lena here with me as well.
Hi, friends.
There you go. And we also have some familiar faces to us, but familiar faces not to you guys. But you guys probably know their characters. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Okay, cool. That was a great start to the podcast. Wonderful.
Let's take roll call.
We
have Nocturne.
Here.
Here.
Present.
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 We have Vanity.
Hello.
And we also have Eldridge.
With his half face.
Half face.
Hi. How are you?
I love it. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, we are actually in self-isolation, so we're not able to see each other. So we're doing this through a Skype call. So those of you that are hearing it, you might hear some differences in audio, and that's basically because we are doing a Skype call, video call. And first of all, I miss you guys so much. This whole thing really sucks because I feel like we hang out so much and so often, and it's like
Constantly.
it's like why are you doing this to us?
To us especially.
Corona.
But
So I think I wanted to start off by saying just basically how everyone joined the team. So if you guys wanted to go ahead and start it off, who wants to start it?
Nocturne does.
You're like Nocturne first.
I nominate you. So how I started, like how I joined the team itself, or just like
Well, let's start by saying like how many years have you been like scared acting?
Well, this past season technically would be my first season, like my full season. Before that, I worked like 3 weekends in a maze at Fright Fest, and then this past season was my first full season as a walk around scare actor at Fright Fest, and that's how the first time I actually had an encounter with Jinx was 2 seasons ago, which is why I actually started working Haunt after this really fun interaction, because he has like checkered socks and I'm wearing checkered socks. And as we were headed out of the park, I just hear like, "We match," and I was like, "What?" And I took that picture, and it's like the best thing ever. And that's actually what made me want to start scare acting, that interaction.
That's crazy, because when we were talking about that in the Nights of Horror, I was like, I didn't even know that. I just remember seeing this girl with the same checkered like socks, and I was like,
because
yo,
my shoes, my laces were UV also, and they were also checkered. So he had checkered, and he had the UV face paint as well. So it was just perfect.
So basically,
Huh?
When y'all heard that on the Nights of Horror podcast, we were all kind of gagged a little bit, and we were like, "Did you know?" He's like,
yeah, I was like so taken back about it because I didn't even know about that. I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah, so that's why everything is also just. That's why when during the last season when you asked me to be a part of this, it was just, I mean, from the beginning, it was just an amazing opportunity, and it's just, being able to like work with you guys and have grown I'm like so fond of you guys, and you guys are literally like my family, and I love you. Just amazing, and that's how I ended up joining the team, just from when you like mentioned it and you brought it up, and immediately I was like, that's like, thank you, I want to be a part of this.
It was so funny because when I was talking to Lena about it, because we're thinking about becoming this group, and I was like, I don't know who we should bring. And I remember, again, we had that interaction, and I think you went to one of the slider meets that I had.
Yeah.
And it was that day that I saw you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like she can slide.
Wait, but that was the night that I laid my eyes on Edward Scissorhands, who is Our favorite person in the entire world that's hiding in the corner.
Don't call
So
me
it's
out.
a package deal.
It was a package deal. So after that, I was like, she definitely needs to be like in our group for sure. And then most of you guys don't know this, but she actually won an award for Six Flags. You want to talk more about that?
So that was also a really it was really emotional actually, really, when I did get it, because it was one of those.
Yes.
Yes. I was a walk around for Exile Hill, and it was my first year, and it was really, I don't know how to describe it, because I had never actually been, in such a large area, because when you work a maze, I was just in this little room for like those 3 weekends, and it was just one of those things that it just ended up continuously like developing. And I ended up getting I wasn't a slider, but I ended up using my shoes, my steel toes, so that way I could move faster through the crowds and through people. And I loved it. And it was such a great time to be able to work with some people like Maggie, and, who's actually the one, she told me that I got the award. She scared me in the bathroom. She was like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "Go down."
That's awesome.
Makeup room, and then just everyone just started clapping, and I was like, "What?"
You're
So
like, what's
the funny part was that even though you found out the last day of Fright Fest, I knew about this the second week of Fright Fest. So
Really?
they had been watching you from the very beginning. And I remember when one of the higher ups had told me, like, these are all the people that are winning stuff, which I even had to keep some things from Jinx. But they're just like, so what do you think about, the list that we put for awards? And I was like, oh, Danny, yeah, 100%. And then they were like, okay, great. So it was one of those things that I had to keep from you guys for basically all season.
It's amazing.
It was funny because like when we finally like had that meeting of talking about what the Tormented was, as soon as I told you, I was like, okay, she seems into it. And I told Lena, I'm like, I don't know if she's hyped about it or if she's like all right about it. But then I remember she told me, like, no, she came in and she was like, I'm so happy about this tea, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you were geeking out to me, but you played it hella cool with Alan. And then he was like, guys, like, I don't think she really wants to do this. And I was like, are you joking? Because that's all she talked about for like the rest of the night.
Out as I was driving over there, I was like, what is it? And then you were like, I don't know, you were like maybe like 10 minutes late, and I was like, what if he's not coming anymore? I was like, what if I fucked it up?
No, yeah, and then seeing you, I actually got to see you scare firsthand. So like seeing you scare, it was like, yeah, she needs to be in our group. And like I said, you weren't a slider at the time, but I feel like your sliding skills are going to come really good handy, especially this year, especially to the team as well, when we start building things like a show and stuff. So I'm excited to see your growth and see how far you take your character, because these two over here have created another storyline that we didn't initially have with you, but now. And that's the cool thing about it, is like we use everyone's like kind of talents, and then we go, wait, you can do this, wait, I can add on to this, wait, I can add on to that. So I think that's super cool.
And now Nocturne is our daughter.
Exactly.
I remember that in New Orleans, we were like, ha ha ha, and we crossed the street, we're like, but wait.
We're like, but wait, we're being kind
In the back of an Uber.
Like
We started piecing things together, we were like, wait, and then just like, what is happening? Write it down.
Like we got in the lift and we actually started talking about it instead of joking about it anymore. And we were like, hold on, wait, why could this actually work?
Like
it was
me
a
looking
joke.
out of the window at the we were passing, being like, okay, but wait.
I'm like, as long as it makes sense. And then literally that whole car ride, and then afterwards you guys were like, wait, we have the story. And I'm like, oh, that was so quick.
Like we already have like three versions of the story that we know could work. So
Yeah.
which one do you want to hear? And you were like, what the fuck? How did you come up with this?
I was like, okay, partner.
Oh, speaking of the whole okay partner thing, so in the first episode, I told you how we explained all that, but somebody this morning in Jinx's TikTok comments was like, yo, the fact that you say partner is so much funnier now that I know the backstory about it. And I was like, we've started a movement. Everyone's going to be using
Started a
partner by
movement.
the end of this.
It's just
Honestly,
gonna be like one of the hashtags in the pictures.
Okay,
Hashtag,
partner.
Partner.
hashtag okay, partner.
That'd be so funny.
So that leads into Vanity and Eldridge.
Yes.
How did we meet? How did you guys join the team?
You're
How did all that happen?
I think it's
Hold on.
funnier from your perspective.
It is.
So when I first met them, I didn't know who they were, and I was working at Dark Harbor, and I was a street performer on the sliding show at Dark Harbor, and I saw Jinx, and I guess he asked for a picture, and I screamed no at him and walked away. So that was
Yeah.
my first interaction with Jinx. But Toby knew Lena, specifically Lena. You were talking to her on Instagram, right?
Nope, that wasn't until after.
No. Ash, you
Yeah.
don't even know
Yeah,
the
not-
story.
Yeah, exactly. Let me tell my story. I don't even know. I think I was sliding up and down the part of Dark Harbor that we call the hill, and I remember seeing your jacket as you were walking by, and I was like, oh, that's so weird. I feel like I've seen that before. And I was like, because I don't know. And then Lena came up to me and was like, hey, my friend wants to take pictures of you. Would you mind going over? And I was like, sure. And so I took the pictures for a little bit, and then Lena was actually like talking to me, and I was like low-key pretending to like be in character when I 100% was not. And we just sat there and talked, and then after the show, found them.
I
we
didn't
got to talk
really
more, but I had to like kind of like.
I didn't really like actually know you guys until the party at Saddle Ranch after your last day.
Yeah,
That's when I met you guys, and I really like got to know specifically Lena at first, and then she introduced me to Jinx.
It was a good time.
And
It was a good night.
it was crazy because it was the first night that I met Lena, and I had barely talked to her, and she pulls me aside and she's like, so I have this idea, and
Oh my
I think you and Toby would be perfect for it. And we were like, what? And this was only maybe like an hour and a half after just meeting.
An
Like,
hour and a half, but after several drinks.
I barely knew them, so he knew Lena better than I did at that point because they had talked more.
Yeah.
And
this was after we had already gone and seen you guys on your last day.
Yeah.
And then Lena was texting me and was like, hey, we're all going to go here. You want to go? And I was
Yeah.
like, I've never been there before. And she was like, well, then you have to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
You have no choice.
So she pulled me aside and she was like, so I have this idea, and it's a thing that's already happening, and what we're doing, so this is Tormented Society, this is who we are, this is the goal, this is the mission, this is what we want to do. And she was like, and we really want you and your partner to be a part of it. And we were like,
Well, I don't even know you guys at that point or something. And then like Lena came up to me
Yeah,
and told
yeah,
me
it
about
was
it,
just
and I was
me.
like, what
it
is
was
going
just
on?
me. And I kind of sat there and I was like, okay, this seems like a big commitment, but why do I feel so already down
no,
for it?
I'm down.
Like,
Yeah.
immediately.
Well, it was the weirdest thing because we had been talking about like wanting to do something similar to that, or like wanting
Yeah.
to just like be able to be freer with like what we do and like our characters,
performers.
and to have like a team of people who were like down to do that. And then we didn't have any idea what we were looking for, but then like when Lena pitched it to us, I was like, that's exactly what we're looking for.
And it was weird. And then right afterwards, I was like, honestly, I'm down. And like me and Toby kind of talked it over a little bit after, and I told her, I was like, we're down. And she was like, I need to go tell Ellen, and you need to come with me right now. So during the party, she pulls me over to Ellen, and she was like, tell him exactly what you just told me. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I just remember Jinx, like, literally, like, his face, like, dropped. Like, he was like, I didn't think you were going to say yes. And I was like, is that a bad thing? And you were like, no, wait, hold on. Rewind. Like,
I was freaking out. I was just like, wait, what did you just say? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, all right, cool.
I just remember that night. I just remember Lena in passing being like, hey, I pitched the idea to Ash and Toby and they're in. And she's like, I'm going to go tell Alan. And I was like, okay.
I work fast, guys, all right? I'm efficient.
Yes, you
And
are.
then after that, we did want to have like a meeting like with just the three of us because I wanted to like actually talk to you guys about it. So we went to a museum, the Natural History Museum.
Which, let's talk about it. I'm pissed.
Let's talk
Because
about
it
it.
was a room I was looking for an experience, and it was a room of horror stuff. It was fun, but it was one room, and it took 10 minutes to do.
I remember us just going, well, now what?
Well, I mean,
Remember-
on our first date. So
True.
the spider
But-
terrarium when we went.
Yes,
to the spider-
that was terrifying.
That was definitely like anxiety, like fear bonding. We were like sweating and like grabbing each other. It must have been like some kind of like bonding experience in that way.
I bet you people were like looking at us like they're definitely on like their first date, their first double date. They didn't know how to act with each other.
Because we were like, what's good? Do I hug you? Do I shake
Yeah,
your
like,
hand?
hey, how you
Hi.
doing? How you doing, kid? You doing all right? All right.
And then I
Hey.
remember certain instances in the museum when we would like slightly separate and me and Toby would lag a little bit behind and we'd both just like whisper to each other like, what do we do? Like, what do we say?
Am I acting okay? Am I acting weird?
okay?
Are we being weird or
Am
are
I
we
being all
fine?
weirdo?
No, but also in the time that we were just like wandering through the rest of the museum, we quickly realized that me and Toby are the same person, and Ashton and Alan are the same person.
Yeah.
Like immediately. But it was
Immediately.
nice because like
Sorry.
if we ever get tired of each other, you guys have each other. Me and Toby got each other. You two got each other, and it's over with.
It's fine. We're good.
It's so funny.
Separate corners.
And it was funny because then we were talking about, because we wanted to take you guys to New Orleans, but Lena had told me that there is some miscommunication or something because they're like, Toby had said, well, have fun in New Orleans. And I'm like, wait, are they coming or not? Because I want them to go. And they're like, I don't know. We should probably bring it up at dinner. And I'm like,
Dude, I've never shit bricks more than that moment when Toby was like, have fun, guys. And I was like, was that your sly way
Yeah.
of telling us that you're not
Because
coming?
we didn't know if you guys were fully like already joining us into the group or if we were gonna be like members
in the group
later.
after. Like
You
there
know?
was
No,
no
if you weren't invited, I wouldn't have even told you guys.
Why did I
And you know that
that?
now.
Yeah, because you were like, Tormented Society is going to New Orleans, and it automatically in my mind, because I know you text like that now, and it's referring to all of us. But like the first time you texted it to me, I was like, that's great. Have fun.
Send pictures.
I was like, send pics.
So yeah, and then once we had that official talk, you guys were like, oh my God, like you guys have been wanting to go to New Orleans, and you guys shared us your story behind it.
Mhm.
And I think going to New Orleans really brought the whole team together, which is awesome. And I feel like we really bonded. And we've been talking about like having our own little place of like the entire team being together and the entire, just kind of having like a 2-hype house or like a Team 10 house, but better.
like,
Team 10 about horror.
But like scary,
Yeah, we're scared.
I want a year-round haunted house is what I'm
A
saying.
year-round haunted house.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen.
It's
Yep,
really
It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen, yeah.
It's gonna happen. I love that. I love that.
It's gonna happen.
It's really
Um,
funny how quickly we bonded in New Orleans because like
Yeah.
we got to actually witness how we got to live together as people.
Yeah, how it would
Not
be
only
if
as
we were to
like
live together.
interacting as monsters, but living together as humans as well and outside of character.
Especially in New Orleans when you have to go
Yeah.
through everyone's rooms.
Yeah, the setup of it was definitely a good way to get close fast.
Yeah, and it
We
was
had
it
a,
was really cool.
We had a what is it called?
A
A
shotgun.
shotgun
Yeah,
Yeah.
shotgun house.
Remember, Ash, do you remember when Alan fell asleep and I was texting you from the other room?
Yeah, we could hear each other.
And and we both made each other laugh until you were like, dude, stop being stupid, just come in here. And I was like, okay, great, I'm coming right now.
That's exactly
He
what I was
texted me too. He was like, "Lena's in our room. Come join."
Still awake.
It seemed like almost all of the nights when you guys were still awake, you guys would like come into our room and we would talk and we would bond and we would get deep and like actually talk about like our lives as people as well, and not
Yeah.
just scare actors. Like getting to know each other to a way deeper extent so quickly into meeting each other. It was really cool.
And also just being
weird.
able to recap our day with each other was always really cool. Like
Yeah.
coming home and being like, oh, I talked to this person. Oh, this happened. Blah blah blah. And like we all had different stuff to talk about. And just like hang out, which was I think the coolest thing about it.
It was just really cool because
Yeah,
like
always with each.
when we left, all of us were like, even though we don't know each other that well, we need to live together.
Heartbroken a little
Yeah.
bit.
Like see each other all the time. Like we live so coherently with each other, you know, that like we immediately felt that as a group.
It was easy.
And
We
even
didn't have to try.
and even though we were there
Exactly.
for 6 days, it felt like we were there for so much
Like
longer.
3
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
definitely took advantage of the trip. Like we had like besides us working, we also like rallied at the end of the day and like went out and had a crap ton of fun.
Yeah.
Well, we even more time than that together because before that was all of our photo shoots for the stuff that we were releasing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was just like I think we were together for maybe like what I want to say like 10 days straight.
Yeah, we were together for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And,
well,
like-
pretty much 2 weeks. Before that was crafting and getting everything ready, like the props and everything else. So
Yeah.
New
Until like
was-
4 a.m. doing everything.
Yeah.
New Orleans was like being in a time warp. It was like, it seemed like it went by so fast when we were at the convention, but so slow once we got home.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, it was like all the days went by super fast, but the night was always super, super slow.
Yeah.
It
which
was
was
weird.
nice. Yeah.
It was nice. It was
Which-
just weird.
It was nice.
Are we gonna go over the shenanigans that happened? Road to New Orleans and while we were there.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
God.
Because it's kind of the best.
So,
But also
lost my wallet.
There you go.
Oh, wait. Okay.
We're already in the airport.
Okay, so before we even leave, we're in the airport, and all of a sudden, I just see scrambling, and I see Toby's face just,
pissed.
and all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. I look over at Lena, and Lena goes, nope, and I'm like, oh no. So then, well, you can finish the story because I was just like, oh.
So we went through security. We went through bag check. We went through everything. All we had to get to was our gate. And
They're like 2 hours early.
And it was like the first gate too, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
we're 2 hours early, so we were practically like almost close to being on the plane. And I look around and I realize that I left a bag that had not only my wallet, but $300 in cash in it. So, for those who don't know me, which is a lot of people, my memory is not something to be trusted. I don't leave me with anything valuable because I guarantee you I will lose it. And I'll forget that it ever existed.
Toby's
within
very
5
mad about
seconds
it.
of holding it. So Toby knows this. We've been engaged for a year and together for 3, and best friends for even longer. So he knows that this is a running theme of mine. So I walk up to him, my face grim as fuck, and immediately I didn't even need to say anything, and he was like, "What did you forget?" Like, my wallet, my cash. I don't know what to do.
I think the funniest thing is before this, I said, "Do you want me to hold that or put it in my bag so that it doesn't get lost?" And he looks at me straight in the face and goes, "No." And I was like, "Okay." As we step out of bag check, it's just black, and I was like, "What happened?"
And so he's pissed at me. So I was like, I need to leave. I need to get out of this situation. I need to find my wallet. So I go all the way back down through security, running through security. Run down the escalator, and who do I fucking see while I'm running but Danny? So I stop like midway, and I look at her, and I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to see you. Oh my gosh, well, what's going on? Like, what's good?" And I hugged her, and then I looked at her, and I was like, "I really gotta go."
She's like, "I lost my bag." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, go through security. And I'm like going up the escalator. She's like, "By the way, security's really easy," and turns around.
But I ended up finding the bag. After a whole turmoil of finding an employee that put it where moving it around that couldn't walk slower.
But
So
on
it
the
took-
flip side of all of this, me and Toby and Alan were all sitting together waiting for you to do your thing and find it. And I look at Toby. I don't even remember what the hell I said, but I made a joke to Toby. I think it said something along the lines of it's fine. He's lost it right now. He can't lose anything else this entire trip. And Toby literally gave me the death stare, and I looked at Alan and walked away because I was dying and you were not.
I still didn't.
I've never seen Toby look like he wanted to kill me, but he wanted to kill me for sure.
I remember going through security and then Lena being like, "Hey, Ash lost his bag. Toby's really pissed, and I can't deal with this. I don't know what to do."
And this wasn't the first and last time. It happened again in New Orleans. We had
did I
just.
jinx it?
Wrap up the podcast.
So
a good time.
I think we're done.
Ashton's like, I'm done.
It feels like this is a roast session real quick. I know, I'm gonna go get some food. I'll see you guys in the
We love you. We love you with love, with love. And I feel like that's the cool thing about our group. Like everyone brings in. This is a horrible segue because I was gonna say everyone brings their own talent to the team. But no, seriously, I feel like besides that, we have our fun times, and yes, it was stressful, but at the end of the day, we have stories to tell, especially from New Orleans, and that I think that's super cool. But I feel like the cool part about our team is that we have everyone that's super talented. That they're not just sliders, and I've said in the podcast before that they're not just sliders. They also stilt walk. They also do aerial work, which if you guys don't know, which you guys will know very, very soon. These three over here are some amazing aerialists, and they are incredible what they do, and they are actually going to be creating they're part of their own very show that we're going to take somewhere. I haven't announced it yet, but we're going to take it somewhere. Possibility. So talk about what else you guys do, because we have talked about other things that we are going to announce. So if you want to go brush over it, like the addicts ? You know what I mean? Something like that.
I caught your drift.
I caught it way before
I
you
caught
did.
like, what the hell is he talking about? I can talk about it. I'll just briefly explain it. I mean, basically the whole. Are we talking about the addicts as a whole or the shop?
The shop.
The shop.
The shop.
Yeah, because if we're referring to the shop, then we're basically creating this Etsy shop that will have creations of our mind that we decide to put into real life, and then that is what we're selling. So it's a bunch of oddity crafts, antique stuff like that, paintings, furniture, weird things. Like I'm sure we'll get around to the whole spectrum of the board as we with our creativity, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's
It's just gonna be a lot of stuff. Like there's gonna be jewelry, there's gonna be
and it's gonna be
handmade
one of a kind.
dolls, like-
Everything is one of a kind. There's not gonna be anything that is sold twice or made exactly the same.
Yep.
So it's all gonna be handmade, one of a kind, and that will be coming shortly after we put our first listings up.
very shortly, and because
And
of
that's-
this,
Go for it.
because of this quarantine, we're gonna be able to work a lot on that stuff. So we're gonna be able to post
We already
things a
have
lot
been
sooner. We already
working
have
on
been
a lot of things.
working on concepts.
And that's one of the things that Ashton and Toby, they came up to me and they're like, hey, like we do handmade jewelry. And I'm like, at first I was like, I want one. And then it became something that they wanted to create a shop. And it was something that was like really cool. And like I said, like whatever anybody's skill is on the team, like we want to bring it to the whole team. And I feel like this is a way to express yourself. So people have come up to me, you know, saying what they want to do and what their path is and what their end goal is with Haunt or just in general what they want to do. And it's pretty cool that we can provide, you know, like something like a shop, you know, something that's very unique. It's one of a kind. No one else has it if you buy it from the Addict shop. So I feel like when they talked to me about it, I was like, that's super cool. Like, how can I help you? You know what I mean? So I feel like we all have like these small little talents and that we're trying to make it big. And, you know, even with that small thing like a shop, like creating something, I've never, like, that's super cool. Like,
But also, like, on top of that, one of the other things that Toby does bring to the table as well is that not only is Toby and Ashton, are they both amazing artists, but also Toby has now gone down the route of being our main designer of our merch. So from all of our t-shirts and stuff like that, you know, that's what you're buying. You're buying Toby's work. But also we are going to be moving that into actual prints where we'll have individual characters. So whoever you love, or if you support the whole team, you know, you can get your own artwork, but it's also going to be handmade, which is also really special.
Yeah,
So
if you guys have any ideas for something that you want, DM it to the Tormented Society page, and I'll see if it works.
Yeah, leave a
Ooh,
comment down below.
Slick.
That's the
Put
thing.
that bell notification.
Put that bell
Follow.
notification. Follow.
That's another
Okay,
thing
partner.
that we also wanted to
Okay, partner.
That's another thing that we also wanted to do is like you know, post a product and not exactly make replicas of it, but be like, if you want this doll in a certain style, we also do commissions. But you need to expect that we're gonna put our own little
Like a
twist
certain,
on it.
yeah, it needs to be like
you
a
know?
certain like theme or something to work around, or colors specifically that you want, something like that. That's also going to be an option because both of us work on the dolls individually. Like he'll do most of the sewing and then I'll go in and do most of the detail work. So we kind of work in that way, as well as like if you eventually, when we do open up like the doll commissions and stuff, that's going to be something knowing that it's coming from both of us, and it's also one of a kind because we're both working on it separate, different ways. So
We put blood, sweat, and tears in it. That's for sure.
I love it. And I feel like I actually did not know that Danny was doing like aerial work, and I started seeing her post about it a lot, and I was like, yo, that's super cool. Like, what if we gave you an opportunity to do something with that? So that was another thing too, where again, every time someone says I do this, I'm like, what? Like, yeah, let's do it. Like, do whatever you want. You know, it's so.
The show wouldn't have even been a thought with Danny because you offered it to her first, and you were like, oh, we have a hoop artist, and then we were like, whoa, we do stuff like that too, and then it was like that created a whole nother thing that created a whole
Right.
I remember that. That's the first time that I actually talked and like connected with both of you, is through Ariel and through how, you know, I knew you guys were a part of the group, but we hadn't actually like fully talked, and you know, I didn't know that you guys were Aerialists until Toby, actually it was Ash that told me, yeah. And then he brought me to Toby, and Toby and I were just linked.
We were just like at the same time. We were like, all right, what do you like about it? What is your favorite kind?
It's cool because like now that Ashley and Toby actually have like a setup for aerial work in their backyard, so Danny goes over there and they start practicing, and I think that's super cool just to like have that, you know, access of still doing stuff even though we're still in quarantine. This whole thing where they're still working on something, and that right there, you can tell like we're gonna try and do our best to give you the best quality that we can, especially once this whole thing blows off, because it will, and haunt season will still go on, and then that's when we're gonna drop bombs on you. You know, we're gonna be like, yo, check this out. You know,
There's a lot.
Yeah, a lot is coming, and I feel like half of the stuff we haven't even announced yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like even the attic shop, we haven't even talked about that at all on social media, but people that are watching this are hearing it for the first time. So it's like, you know, so there's a lot more coming, guys. A lot more coming.
Yeah, I mean,
But also
there's
it's
definitely there's people who have already caught on and followed. I made
Yeah.
a Instagram account, but it has nothing on it. It just says Annex Antiques, and people have started following that already. So those of you who caught on before we even said anything about it,
You guys,
you're on top. Like, you really
You're on
are.
top.
Because there's like 50 followers on there right now. Like 50 people who just randomly found it. It has nothing about Tormented Society or anything, but I don't
People
know.
figure stuff out so easily, and
Yeah.
then it like freaks you out. But then you're also like, well, duh, they're watching our stuff. Like, we're all human. They like, you know, they can pick up on cues.
Right.
you best know that Knights of Horror was probably your first follower. He makes so many conspiracies.
I don't know.
I love
Oh
him.
yeah, Knights of
We
Horror.
love Anthony.
We love Anthony.
He's hyped for the entire movement. He said, "TS, I'm there."
Every time he posts a video, I'm like, dude, I'm so hyped. Like, and I'm like, wait, I'm in the group. Like,
I love that.
I also wanted to talk to you guys because people have been asking me. They know a little bit of my background story in terms of Jinx, but people are very curious. I know we have another big plan in terms of like creating maybe a short series kind of deal, you know, that may be in the works. I don't know. But people want to know just a little summary of your guys' backstory, especially with Nocturne and Vanity and Eldritch.
Well, which backstory?
Like, I'm like,
Oh yeah, their backstories.
Hard?
Ooh, it's very
I'm
intricate,
sorry,
and I love
so hard
it.
together.
Because we've got our characters separately. And
Like,
we
I need to
also
put it on like a brief summary.
we also we also have
So
our
does Danny.
characters.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Because like we're now starting to blossom into different ideas.
Yeah,
with Danny's
there's 5
character as well.
backstories between the 3 of us. So
yeah,
So
give us like a very short
Summary.
very, like, summary of each. Like, just give us like the vibe of it.
the
Give us
vibe
the
of
feel.
The vibe of it. Come back in New
I'll-
Orleans.
How
my
about
God.
this? I'll go first. You go second, and then do you want me to explain the backstory since I wrote it for?
yeah,
the,
you
for the
wrote it.
addicts?
So
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, that would be
So Vanity basically, God, he's a complicated man. He was in the Victorian ages, and he was a hypnotherapist at the time. That's what people knew him as, was being a hypnosis therapist. That's what he specialized in, and he used to, basically what he would do is he would manipulate his patients into them believing that he was this like deity of sorts and being this almost godly figure to them that was like their version of Jesus, essentially, is what he wanted to strive to be. So he did that with his patients, but the more that they started noticing and seeing
very
that they were
Charles
being
Manson energy.
yeah, exactly. And slowly being like manipulated through this process of hypnosis where he would send them out while they were still hypnotized, thinking that that was reality. So his patients would start coming back and start doubting him. And when they would start doubting him, he would basically put them under hypnosis and have them commit suicide. And in Vanity's perspective, he's like, no blood on my hands, so I'm still pure. So that's Vanity's whole mentality towards things, and which is why he's so prideful and so like flashy, is because of his reputation towards the people that he's put under and his reputation towards himself. So yeah, that's Vanity. And then
Oh, for
I'll just-
Eldritch, yeah, I guess for Eldritch, he's more in the Renaissance period, and he was a puppet master at a theater, and that was his way of living. That's how he always lived. That's what his fathers did, and that type of thing. And he always kind of enjoyed being hidden and away and just giving people enjoyment through his art in the puppet set. And then that was also during where plague was a huge thing and was destroying lives and destroying people, destroying economies. And so he caught the plague, and when his prayers to God wouldn't help him, he turned to the devil, who offered him, if he was able to take his soul and replace it with the soul of the demons that he was forcing out of hell, then that would be, he would still be able to have a vessel and a mind, but his soul would be taken over by the demons. So that's kind of his whole thing. But the devil couldn't replace his face and the decay that had already started happening from the plague, so they just covered it in porcelain. And that's why I have the cracks and the different sutures in my face and stuff, is because of the porcelain that's slowly peeling off and ripping off the skin that he has to keep reapplying to give that shellish figure.
And then explain the little thing about the relics so that I can explain Vanity's thing. Of him
The relics?
taking little.
Oh, right. As Eldritch's mind started to warp, he started wanting to make dolls of people in his audience, just random dolls of people that like caught his mind, and so that he could steal their soul and replenish his own life force, so that his body could keep moving and stop falling apart, and he wouldn't have to start stitching stuff up again. So like every time he took a relic from somebody, that was his gateway to draining them until he completely got his energy back.
Yeah. And then
So.
Vanity and Eldritch, because I don't think
We
that
have
people.
to really summarize this one.
Yeah, I don't think that people are really maybe even aware of this yet, but our characters are together.
Yep.
Canonically, they're in a
Partners in
relationship,
crime.
partners in crime, essentially.
Partner?
Partners? Crimes. So, Vanity and Eldritch's story was basically Vanity took place in the same town that his puppet show came. And they were doing like Eldritch was doing
because
like
my
some sort of tour.
character is technically undead, so I would have
Yeah.
been alive during the time that my like
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, my
Yeah.
caravan came
Yeah.
doing performances.
Exactly. So Eldritch's caravan came into and Vanity, being Vanity, knew everybody in the town and everybody's face. So when he saw this
New person.
this new person that he couldn't visually see, but only saw the puppets of, was really encapsulating to him. So he was like, I want to see if I can meet this person after the show, or I want to see if I could get a glimpse of them behind the curtain. So he went to Eldritch's puppet show, and he basically watched it, and at the end of it, everything closed up and he left. But he didn't know that he was leaving. Eldritch came up behind him because Eldritch, like stated, used to steal little relics of people to
From
drain
the
them
audience, yeah.
from the audience. So he stole Vanity's pocket watch. And that being the thing that he uses to put people under, he noticed it right away. So he saw them do it, and he saw them walking away with it because it's a gold pocket watch. And he saw them walking away with it, and he saw it shine. And he decided, instead of making a huge scene, to just follow them and try to hypnotize them once he met them. So he was following this person, and they went, this random person, and went to a old abandoned house, and he was trailing a little bit behind them, so he went into the house and he didn't see anything anywhere. Like, he didn't see them anywhere in the staircases. There was all of the rooms were completely like cobwebbed, and obviously nobody had been in them. And then he saw a ladder to the attic, and he crawled up the ladder, went into the attic, and he found Eldritch. And when Eldritch turned around, the rest is history.
Aww, what a lovely love story.
But where does your
So-
but where does a love child come from?
Exactly.
Oh. I feel like we should save that one until the short film comes out.
Exactly.
Ooh.
It's very
Anticipation.
Anticipation.
But yeah, I'm sorry that was long, but it's a hard thing to summarize.
It's even longer than that in theory, so
Much
like
longer.
shortening it is.
Lots of detail in that story. Yeah, I didn't actually write out how they became an official couple, but I think ending it there kind of like leaves the mind to wander, or leaves the mind to anticipate how they would have gotten together. So
I like the way you think.
They said cliffhanger. Wait until the next episode or until
Exactly.
the movie.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Coming to you, 2021.
Let's talk about Nocturne story.
current story.
Great story.
So, in what way, I guess, because the way I'm not exactly sure how we're tying it. There's a lot of ways of tying it into, Vanity and Eldritch. So
Let's talk about
Your
this
original.
Nocturne.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story for Nocturne was actually in the time of when witches would be burned at the stake and everything. So it ended up, or what I decided that it would be, is that it's a child who is taken from the mother who is believed to be a witch and therefore believed to be a child of Satan. And so that's why for my character, she actually has the upside down cross, because from so much of people trying to take away the devil, they created the devil in a sense. Which is also where the eye, and that's the eye that the cross is on as well. And then from there, it goes into what my original story was, that she was kind of taken in by a ringmaster. And that in that way, it ties in with Ariel and all the acts that Nocturne performs. And in that sense, it was something that she was very much kept in the dark, which is why her eyes that were before sensitive, which is why my lenses are scleras, black scleras, because she lost the ability, like it took on from the darkness again. And in that sense, how is it, the way that it ties in, I wanted it to tie in as well with Jinx's character, and kind of the timepiece of it all. And I'm trying to think of the way that I had the meeting with Jinx. It's kind of blank just because now it's like I know we're tying it into other stories.
Yeah, and I feel like
after the whole, like, you know, with everything that was going on in the circus, so basically she was to be sold to the king, and Jinx was a jester for the king. And so when she figured that out, she decided she was going to burn down the circus and kill the ringmaster. And so that's kind of how that portrayal of her just burning everything down and leaving takes place. And then from leaving is when she would run into, you know, Jinx, and that kind of continues on.
I feel like there is so much more to each of these stories that we have yet to even touch upon. Yeah. And I feel like, trust me, guys, we are creating something for you that's going to be really, really huge. And we're going to create something that's going to kind of cover everything that we're talking about here. And like I said, if you ever get a chance to, if you ever got a chance actually to see these three in action, they are probably so scary. Like, if first of all, this one over here, Nocturne, scares the hell out of me.
But
when she does her little walk, I'm like, oh my gosh, stop doing that. And then these guys, and I feel like that's the cool thing about our group, is that they each of one of them motivate me, and it's everyone on the team. They each motivate me to become a better scare actor, or if I see their outfit, I'm like, okay, my outfit's not up to par. How can I make it better? Or how can I make, they're really dark, so how can I be darker? How can I be this? How can I be that? And I think that's the cool part, because we encourage each other, and it's never like, it's always constructive criticism too, because you know, if someone tells me like, yo, we need to fix that, I'm like, all right, cool, like I'm gonna fix it because of this will work better, this will work better. And I love that. I love the fact that we can just be open with each other and just be, it's like a family. Like we're literally just like saying, hey, like, how can I improve your character? Like, I have an idea for you, you know, and, you know, I run with it, or whatever the case may be, or you guys run with it. And that goes back to you guys creating that story with you three together. You know, just we're literally in an Uber in New Orleans, and then all of a sudden this whole story comes together. And that was just like within the time frame of, what was it, 2 weeks that you guys were finally like in the same place and seeing each other for the first time. Like, it's like, and now we've been together for, what is it, January, February, more than that, like 2-3 months. Like, it's like, who knows what we're gonna do in the next year or so.
But that's kind of the nice thing too, is that no one's stagnant, everyone's evolving. So, you know, like, and it's not that it's a bad thing that we're all evolving. Everyone's just trying to find a way to make things bigger, better, scarier, more enticing. Like, you just want, like, we want these storylines to be so amazing and foolproof that it gives us endless opportunity to grow from that. Yeah. And that's something that's really special, because everyone's backstory, like, we could turn that into any sort of film we wanted to. On
a standalone film. That's it.
And that's not even touching on the whole scare acting portion, but also the fact of that you guys can perform, and everyone, you know, can model their stuff, and everyone's evolving their looks, so that way you're not getting the same content and pictures all the time, that everything's changing, which is really awesome, because then people feel like they're a part of it because they see things changing right in front of them.
Yeah, it seems like there's so much depth to each backstory that's so hard to summarize, and just like
you just need to do it and make a film of it, and like, you know, just like
it's so hard to go into like Vanity's like,
unless we like typed out the entire thing and then like, you know, posted it somewhere. Like,
it's so hard to how,
do you guys want that?
Exactly. of like how Vanity became that person in the first place, or how Eldritch even got into that in the first place. Like there's so much that could be branched upon and been like, wait, so how did he become that person? Well, when you ask, you'll receive, you know, like that sort of thing. Yeah, it's just so cool. It's so cool, but it's so hard to explain.
And just the creation, I think, of like the characters and the makeup and how everything has, you know, evolved from, because I mean the original, like, you know, obviously what Lena does with the makeup for all of us is incredible, and just especially in New Orleans off of No Sleep. Yep. Like everyone puts in their own work into it so that everything comes together so well, because everyone's a crucial part in it. You know, we wouldn't be here without the others. Like no one, you know. I think that's also one of those things that's just amazing, and it's just such a good energy that we all carry with each other.
Yeah.
It's so like, it's like the, you know, like when you say something's like cozy and like homey.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really Tormented Society.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
agree. And it's one of those things where it's just like, even what you said, like the makeup has, you guys have got your first look. I got my first look, and my first look to now is completely different, and it's improved. And that's what I'm saying. Lena's constantly looking up things for you guys, looking up like, okay, I like the makeup here. How can I progress here? So I feel like all of us having that same attitude and progressing in our characters is just awesome. And I think the coolest thing too is that we are going to scare eventually together, and we're going to make that announcement soon. But I can't wait for that, because we went to one convention, and because of this whole coronavirus thing, we weren't able to continue to go to these conventions. So just wait for us to all start scaring, because I just feel like we have a stronger connection now, and it's just going to be.
Especially right now, because we're all just dying to go for it. So like, we're on hold right now. Once this ends, expect big things.
To grow fonder.
But yeah, even though we're on hold, like I feel like all of us are still creating. Like I said, I think each individual is creating their own stuff, and I think that's the cool part about it. I feel like we need to have another part 2 about this, because there is so much we didn't touch upon, especially New Orleans stories. Like we got so much to talk about, and we will definitely be doing more of these podcasts, especially with the entire squad. Once we could have everyone without this social distancing, we could probably have the entire squad in here and, you know, talk about more things, especially what we did in New Orleans. And I feel like I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast. This was a lot of fun. And like I said, part 2 is definitely coming for sure. But thank you guys.
I just can't wait to do this all in person, because then I feel like, I mean, whoever's watching, like, you better keep up, because all of us, we love to talk over each other, and our conversations will go in 3 different ways. So I feel like this being virtual has kept us very like one-laned. But just wait till we're all in person, and then it's gonna be 3 different podcasts in one.
We didn't even talk about Call of Duty. I mean,
I just thought of the airport.
The airport.
Was it Ash? You said you want to play Call of Duty, and Toby was like, no.
I was like, no gunshots in an airport.
We probably shouldn't play Call of Duty at an airport. Just
talk about triggering.
Throw that out there. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us on All Things Tormented podcast. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this on. Really appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We love our fans. And trust me, even though during this time we are not doing very much, we are creating still. That's why we created this podcast, so you could see more in depth on all the characters. And the next episode, we are definitely going to have the new characters talk about their new endeavors, and we're going to be talking about what they got in store for us, and we're super excited about that. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. We got merch, link in bio. What else do we got?
And also, all of us are so easily accessible. Like I said in the last one, if you have questions or comments or whatever, if you just want to have some fun, we always respond to our comments on any platform that we're on. So talk to us. This is what we're here for. We're Tormented Society. We're here to hang.
I'm going to leave everyone's link, Instagram, as well as anything that they got, TikTok, right there on the bottom of the description of YouTube. So check us all out. Make sure you follow the entire squad of Tormented Society. We love you guys. Be safe out there. Bye.
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 out.
Out.
Go, baby! Let's go!
Was that good?
Yeah. You guys ready?
Yep.
Hey there, all you cool cats and kittens. This is Carol Baskin with the Big Cat Rescue. Here we go. For real this time. I'm so awkward at these intros. Let me get in the zone.
Wait, was that good?
No, it totally was.
Wait, was that good?